So now you're gonna sit in the sun. Now you're not gonna sit in the sun. Today is the feast of Saint Anthony of Padua. Born in 1195 in Portugal, died in 1235. So he only lived to be just 30 some odd years old. Died in Padua. He was a doctor of the church. He was from a rich family. Wanted to go into religious life. His parents didn't want him to. Became a Franciscan. He was moved by Saint Berard. I said Bernard. Saint Berard, who was martyred, presumably by the Muslims, possibly Morocco. And he was moved by that, so he wanted to go and evangelize there in the east. Got shipwrecked in Sicily, met up with a bunch of brothers, ended up, I think, becoming a hermit, and would leave to go to Mass and to come to sweep the monastery. So he prayed, received the Eucharist, and then did service, which would be sweeping the monastery, sweeping God's house. One day a preacher was supposed to come to preach, didn't show up. They asked St. Anthony. He did a fantastic job, and then he ended up going out and evangelizing and preaching in France and Italy, I believe it was said. It's been said that he was such a great speaker, even the fish liked to hear him. I think there was something about, they didn't go into detail, but I seem to recall something about him going to preach. People didn't show up. He was out near the water, near the coastline, and he was preaching anyway or something like that. And then the fish came, and huge amounts of fish were just there at the surface of the water listening to him. Don't quote me on that, but I seem to remember that. Reading that there's a shrine of St. Anthony, I believe. I'm getting that right. About 30-minute drive from where I live. And I seem to recall that's where I read that. Went to a retreat there once, a day retreat, and I've been there a few times. St. Anthony was what do you call it? Given the title of Doctor of the Church in 1946. He was a priest, a miracle worker, and was apparently very well known and loved, and he was probably quite portly. They say that he was fat, let's just say that. But he's never shown as fat. In depictions, he's always shown as I guess, skinny. I don't know that's what I read. I haven't seen a lot of them. See, now that's where I killed a fruit tree. There's supposed to be a fruit tree there, which is all dead. I planted 6 trees after they were pretty much dead and hoped that there was still something left, some life, and that they would come back. They didn't. There's one. And finally, this plum tree, which I never paid attention to until the Dog Walk Chronicles. Are you serious? Are you really gonna pee on this fruit tree? So there's fruit on here, and last year we got quite a lot. Let's see how they're doing. They're still hard. None of them have gotten soft yet, but some of them have fallen. There's one. Anyway, St. Anthony is, what was it? Miracle worker. He was known to be portly. And the picture in the source that I use, which is Laudate, was kind of interesting. They did give him a little chunky face, but they actually made him look like a Neanderthal. Even though he lived in the 1200s, he certainly didn't look like a caveman of any sort. But that depiction had him looking like a caveman. Come on, Toby. So let's ask all the saints to pray for us. St. Anthony of Padua, pray for us. And please pray for the souls in purgatory. And please pray for the conversion of the Americas back to the true Christian faith, which is Catholicism, because that's the one Jesus started. God walked the earth 2,000 plus some odd years ago, rose from the dead, which was witnessed, and started a faith on Peter and the 12 apostles, which can be historically and factually followed, traced from that time, 2,000 years ago, to this day, an unbroken chain. So let's call the world back to the faith that Jesus started. That should be good enough. If God started a religion, that's the one I want to be with.